So now it's out, the 7 are building a moon base. And they're building a mech in this moon base. However, the only thing that we have right now is just a lobby background. So I wanted to get it into creative and make it an actual playable area. So I spent the last 24 hours building it, and it turned out pretty well. So the whole project started by analyzing the picture. So we have the mech in the middle, which is getting reassembled. Then we also have these background buildings, which kind of look like gates or some kind of windows. And we see some very rocky or snowy, icy mountains in the background. We can also indicate that the entire scenario is built in a very cold environment because of the icicles all over the structures and obviously the frozen window in the foreground. And we can also indicate that this was built by the 7 by the little logo on top of the reassembling arms. However, there's one problem with having to build something that is from the 7. There's not a lot that I could have worked with when it comes down to props and walls. They have a few things, but they definitely do not have the logo plastered all over it, and I couldn't really use them at all for this project. So I did the unthinkable and used everything from the IO galleries, which has one little problem to it. The imaginary order likes to put their logo on literally every single thing. However, that was a problem that I had to tackle later. First, I wanted to really start building. The first thing that I did was place the mech in the middle of the map, so I had a center point. But since there was not a lot to see on the picture when it comes down to the environment, I just wanted to go with the giant circle base. So I used the new street galleries, and especially I used the railings to create this kind of circle shape and like guidelines to create this base. Even though the racing gallery is a little bit buggy and sometimes disappeared whenever it feels like disappearing, I could really work with this. And I got my guidelines down and could start working. The first thing that I did was build the terrain outside of the base. In this case, we just used the new terrain galleries and just made a nice looking environment. The good thing about this is that they are really just in the background and have a nice feel to it. At this point, I thought I was the smartest person alive and I could use the new primitive shapes and the slurp texture to create an earth-like looking thing which was in the background. I noticed pretty quickly that I was the dumbest person alive because the primitive shapes basically have no render distance, and standing inside of the base will never render the primitive shape in, so it basically had no point of being there. After the terrain was done, I started building the base and started out with the mech first. Obviously, I have to reassemble a bunch of the things, having to reassemble the legs and one of the arms. Also, one very important keynote of the mech is that the head of the mech is slightly tilted and the eyes are off. The original mech head in creative does not have an option with lights off in the pink version. However, there's a gray version which has the eyes off, which I used in this case because I thought it looked a little bit more realistic and just better overall. After the mech was reassembled, I started building the arms that are holding the mech. And for that, I used various versions and changed the design of the arms quite a bit through the entire build through. However, I was pretty happy with the end result of this and started building the windows / entrances on the side. For these ones, we just used simple door shapes and flipped them around so we had like this window look or entrance look. However, I made a mistake to make them a little bit too small, so I had to reassemble all of them, have to readjust the size of them, and then just copy and paste a bunch of them next to each other. One thing which was pretty unclear, which how the left side of the mech will look, and if there also would be these windows. So I freeze that and just copy and paste the entire thing over to the other side, since it kind of looked symmetric and would make sense. However, I'm not 100% sure if that was actually the case because there's a giant building in the background, which I cannot really identify what this actually is. However, I stuck to this one because I didn't want to go all overboard. Because keep in mind, I only had 24 hours. I had to get done. Next, I freeze that a little bit and built a converter belt, which is going to the gate in the background, or at least what I would assume was a gate. The gate is in the middle of 2 giant towers. However, these towers are built out of the rockets, which is kind of ironic. So I built these towers out of the rockets and built the gate out of these walls, kind of have a heavy gate look to them. At this point, everything was going fine and I continued building the base. However, after I finished the base and started to record this video, Epic updated the game. Which wouldn't be that bad if I had not also deleted all of the files accidentally, which basically means we have to stop with the fancy speed building in the background and have to give you guys a tour. Yay, that is exactly what I planned for this video. Sadly, we have to skip the coolest part, which is building obviously the giant structure behind this one. But this is how the island looks in game. First of all, I did a few adjustments obviously to the mech as well. So I obviously did the burn part here, added a bunch of the wires down here, And I also tried to add some wannabe 7 logos around the island. I have no idea which logo this actually is, but I tried to cover up all of the obviously IO logos which are in here and just make it feel a little bit more like it's actually a 7 base instead of being an IO base. Even though basically the entire base is only built of IO pieces and stuff that is from the IO. For these gates I used the matchmaking portals, so basically they have this like icy look or like portal look to them, which I kind of could see in the picture, which I really like. And as overall I built the entire base inside of like a mountain style, so kind of like the Commander Cavern thing, but just on the moon or wherever this is going to be in the end. And this entire thing is obviously completely freestyled and is supposed to be like an assembly line or something where they kind of work out the things that are going to build on the mech and the end. And because also I have to put quite a bit of lighting in here because actually this looked a little bit blank without any lighting. So I had to put a bunch of lights with the new customizable light, obviously. But in the end, this was how it looks like. And this is obviously the window from the loading screen, which in the end, I'm also very happy about how this turned out. And one thing which is very weird is that these portals seem to be forwards here. But if you go through, they're fine. I know, the glass in Fortnite is a little bit weird. And now it's on you what I should put in here. What game mode do you want to see in this thing? I'm very sorry that I could not actually finish the video off like I would love to, like with the actual speed build, and will fully show you how all of this was built. But I think in the end, it really is a cool build overall, and it was just a fun project. So don't take this so serious if you're like a super lure fan. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this one. Hopefully you love this one. Remember to leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys back in the next one. Bye.